Aw yeah, Rivers here with some cool tech. Today I want to show you the Probox 2, and this is an Android mini PC media player, and it's got a couple key features that I haven't seen on other Android media players yet. A couple features that are really needed, so we'll get to that in a few minutes, but first let me tell you a little bit about it. It's got a dual-core 1.6 GHz CPU, Mali 400 GPU, 1 gig of DDR3 DRAM, 4 gigs of NAND, Wi-Fi BG and in, Android 4.04, built-in Bluetooth 2.0, and a great remote control that you're just going to have to see. First, let's look at the ports. It's got a full-size female HDMI port, which is perfect if you already have cables ready to go. For example, mine has already been threaded through the wall. Next, let's take a look at the back where we have two full-size, fully functional USB ports, micro USB port for power, this button that might be used to put it into flash mode, and an SD card slot that can take cards up to 32 gigs. Let's see what all else comes with it. So it included a power adapter, this folding plug power adapter. It wasn't in the box, but it came with it. And it plugs into this USB to micro USB cable. We've also got an HDMI male-to-male adapter here, and this is going to be really useful for plugging it into the back of the TV or the back of the monitor. And now my favorite thing about the Probox 2, this remote. It's just awesome. It's about the size and shape of an Apple remote, but a little bit thicker. It takes AAA batteries too, so no hard to find watch battery replacements. It's got a power button that actually works. It's got voice to text that works wirelessly. It's got a search button, volume up, volume down, select. You've got your back button here, menu, and home. And finally, I think the coolest thing is that it's a gyro remote. So you just point it where you want it to go and it goes there. It works so well, I really think this is the future of Android mini PCs, if not Google TV as well. It works better than all the other remotes I've had, except maybe just a regular mouse. Before I show you the software, I want to show you how it compares to other devices. So here it is compared to an Apple TV. It's about a third the size and it weighs less, and there's your ports right there. Here it is compared to the iMeto MX1. It's about an inch longer and about twice as thick, but it does have an extra USB port that the iMeto does not have. It's also got the RF module for the remote built inside, so you'll not tie up one of your USB ports with the dongle. Here's what you're going to see the first time you boot up your Probox 2. So it's got its own customized interface with animation for these icons. These are kind of like the common icons that you'd use the most. So this is your app drawer, this is your Google Play, this is your web browser that's built on, settings. This is basically a picture and video browser and viewer. File Manager is basically a file explorer that lets you see the SD card and the NAND built on and copy and paste files. Here's a nice add-on. We've got reboot and shutdown built right onto the taskbar. So we know this ROM is rooted because you have to be to reboot and shut down these devices. Here's where your apps that you've installed are. So these are just installed apps, which I think is kind of cool that it has that. Then here's your app drawer with all your apps. Most of these come with it, and some of them I installed later. Installed Netflix, some of these different ones. And now let's take a look at the settings. So it's got Wi-Fi, works pretty well, connected right up when I put in my password. It's got built-in Bluetooth, Ethernet if you get a USB Ethernet adapter. Here's some interesting stuff in your display settings. So when you first come in, it's going to be zoomed out a little bit. You're going to want to, it'll be right here. You'll want to just zoom that all the way out. Display mode, mine started out in 720p. I just jumped it up to 1080. Okay, and here's an interesting one. If you check this box, exit out. Now it's your taskbar's here, but when you open up an app, it'll be gone. So let's try something. So see, now you go into apps and it's gone. Go back. And your bar's still there. So that is a nice function to have. I prefer the bar, but a lot of people, especially for games and videos, want to take that off. And let's run a couple benchmarks. Alright, so there you go. It gets anywhere between about 60 to 75. It's pretty fast. I think Android 4.0 is actually helps it run a little faster. Alright, let's try one more benchmark. Let's run AnTuTu, and I already ran it before because it takes about 5 minutes to run. So 9.523, that's a pretty respectable score. My Galaxy S3 got 10.5 something, but it's really bogged down with tons of apps that are slowing it way down. So it should be getting about 17,000 according to the specs. Anyway, I'll be running AnTuTu on all my future benchmarks, so you'll have something to compare to. Next up, I want to show you how the voice to text works on the remote. I did it from about 5 feet away. I tried it out to about 12 feet and it worked okay. And after that, it started cutting out. Hey guys, Rivers here. I'm testing out the voice to text on my remote for my Android mini PC. Not too bad for being 5 feet away. So I'm actually really happy with the voice to text. It was a lot better than I was expecting. Let's take a quick look at the launcher. So those are the UI that runs on top of Android. So this is what you see when you first boot up. Here's the second launcher, and you can switch with this button down at the bottom here. It's also got ice cream sandwich, which looks like just like a generic tablet would look when you first get it. And I also tried Go Launcher on there, and it didn't work at first until I updated the ROM. The remote on the Probox 2 actually has a power button that works, which makes it only one of 2 Android mini PCs that I know of has a working remote with a power button. So let's go ahead and try it out here. Just hit the button and it's asleep. And it's basically in a deep sleep mode, just like an Apple TV, Western Digital TV. They both do the exact same thing. So I let it sit for a couple hours, touched it, and it was too cool to the touch, so it's not running much if it is running. And hit the button again and it starts back up. It takes about 5-10 seconds. And there it goes. So we do have a working power button. This gyro remote is very usable. Probably what I would do is set up the Android PC with a mouse, so when you're doing a ton of app installs, and then after that just go to the gyro remote only. And it's not bad. See, this is probably the first time I've ever typed with it right here, and I can already type pretty fast. So the learning curve is not bad at all. I can only imagine once you get good at it that you can go really fast. So I'll just show you a couple of the things you can do with the gyro remote that are actually kind of everyday things, but they're really hard to do with some of the remotes out there. So just reading news on your big screen TV would be pretty easy to do. You could watch Netflix, and Netflix does work on here really well. Also, I hooked up my 2 terabyte hard drive and it played the movies off there no problem. And movies play really well on here. I just use any number of movie players, like I used MX Player. The video players that come on here are good. They'll play 1080p MKVs, no problem. I tested it out on a full-length version, HD version of Avatar, and it worked just fine. I could skip around in the movie nice and fast off the drive and even play it on the network a little bit. One thing I do recommend is updating the ROM on here, and that is really easy to do. Go to the website. I'll put a link to the description below, both where you can get it and where you can get the ROM update. And you basically put the image file on the SD card and pop it in, and it says, do you want to upgrade? And just say yes. So piece of cake. Here's some HD video footage I shot, and it looks great on there. And this is coming directly off an HDMI capture, so this is what you're seeing from the Android mini PC. Also, as an added bonus, I was able to play not only MKVs but MTS files, which are the files from your camcorder, so I didn't have to re-encode the MPEG to be able to play home movies. That's a nice feature too. I just used MX Player to do that. So the Probox 2 is a little bit hard to find on the internet right now. I've only seen 1 or 2 stores actually carrying it, but I'll put a link in the description down below where you can get it, and also a link to where the firmware update is for it. The firmware update didn't change the way that it looks much, but it did change the way that it runs a lot. It now can load apps that wouldn't load before. Also, the wireless remote is a lot less jumpy and easier to use. If you like this video or you like the Probox 2, be sure and subscribe to my channel because I'll keep you updated whenever new ROMs, new updates, or I find out anything new about the Probox 2. It'll be on here, so be sure and subscribe, and don't forget to give me a like on the video. That will help me out a ton if you can just give me a like. And also, if you want to check me out on Facebook, I just started a Facebook just to make it easier to tell people about cool things that I find for Android. It's Some Cool Tech on Facebook. Check it out, and as always, thanks for watching, and aloha.